Hi again. I thought that I would bring you outside into my part of the world today. We're going to be meditating together, but as the Australian tourist that I am, I'm not quite used to the snow. And even locals are talking about how having this much snow around is uncommon. And to me, I spent about 10 minutes walking around when I should have been quickly finding a location to sit with you, taking photos of everything around me because this is just too magic. So whether you watch this, whether you just feel my sense of joy, whether you practice with us, thank you for coming along to this magic place. I'm about 500 meters, if that, maybe a little bit less, to my home, which is behind us. And this is quite a secluded part of this little forest area, but there are quite a few dog walkers and there are lots of sledges, as they call it here. Tobogganing is what we call it back home, but if you hear squeals of glee or woofing, it's just a part of the experience, right? So welcome. I've talked a little bit about our meditation practice and our practice in general, what we do when we find some mindful time and space for ourselves, not being an isolated act. Quite often we will find these beautiful moments of peace or resilience or what have you when we're practicing. And when we certainly first start to meditate, we can compare, maybe we're not doing this right, maybe I should be free of thoughts, and am I doing this right? That's a part of the journey, but I'm a very big believer that if you only ever practice those things when you're sitting down for your 10 minutes a day or what that looks like for you, it will never be able to create the lasting change that we strive for in our peaceful moments, in our meditation, in our self practices, journeys, looking inwards, whatever that looks like to you. And interestingly enough, the way that we find these insights and the way that we are able to transition these practices from our moments of quiet in isolation in a controlled environment into our busy and impactful and our lives away from isolation is by being compassionate and learning to navigate your way through your feelings, through your thoughts, but doing it in a way that doesn't put pressure on ourselves. So the notion of taking our practice off our mat or out of our meditation and into the world is so important, but by putting pressure on ourselves, by stacking expectation, it's never going to happen. So in today's practice, we will be looking at the act of non-judgement. It's learning to really dive into our thoughts, feelings, emotions in the moments of quiet, but doing it in a way that we don't offer judgment. The thoughts give us an opportunity to see what's going on in our internal environment, but learning to take those lessons into our lives is complete or is more easeful when we can do that with compassion and without judgment. So this practice is really about observing our thoughts and our feelings, how we're feeling today in a moment, in a snapshot. This is absolutely something that you can practice in different meditations. You can repeat this practice absolutely. And if you haven't, I would encourage you to have something nearby, your phone, a pen and paper, or something that you can maybe reflect on them afterwards. After the practice, which will actually only be quite short today, we will spend some time debriefing. Obviously, if you would like to sit with that in contemplation on your own, absolutely perfect. But if you would like some guidance after the practice, we will be talking about what we found. So I've got my hands in my pockets because I can't really feel my fingers, but I'm going to challenge you today to be seated. If you are a meditator that lies down and you need to be there for niggles, injuries, what have you, obviously make yourself as comfortable as you need to. But we're going to be practicing seated today. So that can be cross-legged on the ground. It can be sitting on the edge of your bed. I encourage you, if you haven't done much practice seated, to have 90 degrees from your hips and your knees. So make sure that your feet are planted firmly on a surface and that you can relax your pelvis. If you need a pillow or something behind your back, do that. So when you're ready, just take a moment to comfort the body down. Find any adjustments that you would like to make physically in your shoulders, your hips, your belly. On the next inhale, lengthen the crown of your head and your spine. On the exhale, soften the shoulders and release. The next breath in grows you taller. And the exhale softens down the shoulders. And spend a moment just really tuning into your body physically. Are there any adjustments that you might like to make to really be able to find ease in your posture? And then do a similar thing with your breath. Try and bring it into a place of ease. And we're really going to be observing quite often in meditation, we talk about thoughts a lot. And unconsciously they fly through our minds and our bodies throughout the day. Consciously we capture, resonate, acknowledge, and understand a small fraction of those thoughts. And what's not important is the thoughts that are present or the feelings in our body, but the way that we interact with them. I invite you to seek some of the physical sensations in your body, or in your breath. And you may like to do this with your thoughts. Just really notice what is present within you today. And if you can, almost as if you are an external observer of your own experience, can you do this from a distance? What's not important is the thoughts that are present or the sensations that are with you, but how we can choose to engage or not engage with them. These moments of quiet connection are here to really help us develop our relationship with ourselves. I invite you to spend some time in contemplation, seeing if you can observe with maybe a little bit of distance your thoughts, your feelings or energies in this moment. If you would like to stay, as always, feel free to pause and reconnect. When you're ready, I'll get you to gently come back to us. And while we were practicing, it has started to snow again. And for me, being outside just creates this really big sense of ease. Any heaviness that I might experience in my body or in thoughts in my home or at work, I guarantee you I can shake it off a little more easily coming outside. When you're ready, I encourage you to pause and to journal down some of the thoughts that you had. They may be something like sitting up is really uncomfortable, or something that happened that day that's coming back into your mind. Pause now and just write anything down that you felt in that practice today. Any maybe judgments that you had on yourself. That may have been something that was really easy for you. The act of connecting with those thoughts may have given you an insight into where your mind or your energy is today. And I think what's really important is that judgments have a place in our lives. You know, they help us discern safe action or unsafe action. They help us make decisions. They help us. They're not a bad thing. They are an evolutionary process. You know, when we were in the dark ages, in the caveman eras, they helped keep us safe at a very real survival level. And in modern times, when we are in adrenaline responses, this last 12 months for a lot of us has been a really chronic state of stress. And these systems are in constant overdrive. So we may be making a lot of judgments of ourselves, and you may notice that. But the really important thing to know is that our thoughts that we have within our minds are not good or bad. They just are. As an ex-personal trainer, I talk about this in the same way that I talk about food. Food isn't good or bad. It is food. The labels that we place on these beliefs are ours, and they can impact our mind and our thought processes in the same way that our thoughts can. If we constantly judge ourselves, maybe in excess, as bad or as a failure, then they can set the tone for our thoughts. They can encourage more thoughts of a similar nature until we are in a chronic belief system. That sounds quite dire, but when we learn to discern our thoughts and our judgments as being not good or bad, we can start to detach from the negative emotions that we may have placed on them. I hope this practice offered you some insight, and if you have any questions about something that came through for you, because this can stir up a lot, as always, send me a message, email me, a voice message, a video. I don't mind. I love engaging with you in different ways, and I'm absolutely here to support any questions that you may have. I hope that you enjoyed this exceptionally magical scene. I just wanted to share it with anyone that wanted it, because if we are feeling a little heavy in the judgment or having trouble discerning where we are, then sometimes this is enough to help us kind of shake loose a little bit. So thank you for joining me, and more importantly, thank you for giving yourself some time. I hope to hear from you about your experience and know that I'm here, but I'll see you soon.